In the article, Love the Place You Want to Live, the first sentence I highlighted is, maybe you moved here for school or work, but your heart still lives in the place you left. You think of all the family and friends and familiar comforts back there, and you struggle to imagine how here could ever feel like home. This sentence resonates with me, being an immigrant that migrated to the United States. Most times I feel homesick, and most of my family are still back there in Nigeria, and most of my friends are there too. I feel homesick, but the author here is makes me understand that it's okay to feel in certain ways, as I do feel sometimes. The second one says, for whatever circumstances brought us here, a hand beyond our own has been at work. We lived where we live ultimately because God has sent us here, at least for today. And the providential hand of God never moves without purpose. This was gotten from the subtitle, Planted by a Master Gardener. In this quote, the author is telling us that for wherever we find ourselves in, God has a purpose for us. And I chose this sentence because I know that even if I'm not in the place that I really want to be in sometimes, that God has a purpose for me wherever I find myself. And the third one is, we do not live where we live alone, nor is our present place the result of mere circumstances we can see. We have a master gardener, a present Christ, even in a place that feels like exile. In this place, this quote is also gotten from the subtitle, Planted by a Master Gardener. Christ is our gardener. A gardener just throws seeds on the floor, and sometimes it grows, sometimes it doesn't. But Christ is our master gardener, and if He has brought us from a place to take us to any other place, we should have trust in Him that He can make everything good for us wherever that we have found ourselves, because He has a purpose for us wherever we are. The fourth one is, our own desires to live, change, move can tempt us to similarly live lightly upon the soil. Our soul a tumbleweed rather than a tree. I got this from the subtitle, Souls with Packed Boxes. And this quote exposes how humans tend to cope when they find themselves in places that are not so favorable to them. The author is telling us that wherever we find ourselves, we should live like a tree rather than a tumbleweed. The tumbleweed doesn't it can be blown anywhere, but a tree has a root. And when we live like a tree rather than a tumbleweed, we just don't get pushed in any direction by the wind. We are planted and we stay solid in that place that we find ourselves. And number 5 is, sink your roots into the soil, hard as it may feel, and dare to believe that fruit can grow even here. And this quote acknowledges that our current circumstances might feel frustrating, but we should dare to believe that growth can happen in tough places. Wherever we find ourselves, we should trust that God can make it a place of comfort for us. The last one is, wherever we live, there are people on our block, in our neighborhood, and throughout our city who need to hear how much God has done for us and how much He might do for them. So this place is talking about sharing the good news of Christ. And an example that was given in this quote, the author was talking about a man that was healed by Jesus. And after Jesus healed this man, he wanted to go with Jesus, but Jesus told him to go back home and share the gospel with others. And the same thing that Jesus did for this man, I believe, is what Jesus wants us to do wherever we find ourselves. We should live a life that would draw people closer to Christ. And when they see us, and they would realize that indeed that we are followers of Christ, we should also always try to make an impact in wherever that we find ourselves. And the last question says, do you agree with the author's main point that God's people always live as exiles waiting for their forever home with God? Yes, I do agree that God's people live as exiles waiting for their forever home. This is because the Bible consistently reminds us that our forever home is a spiritual reality where we get to be in heaven with our Father. But it also tells us that even while we live as exiles, it also tells us that even while we wait for the eternal home, we should sink our roots into the soil and actively serve our current communities with everything that we have as we wait. Thank you.